This third and final presentation of my case study on the gamification in education will focus on the ethical implications of this method of teaching. The previous presentations have focused on a lot of the positive aspects and potential benefits that gamification can have with students, but there are also some major concerns from the community, parents, as well as educators, because it is such a radical change from the traditional way of teaching. One of those concerns is that gaming is inappropriate to use as a tool because the games are too violent. It's more of a distraction than a tool, and it doesn't teach content. However, I don't believe those are true simply because of the fact that over 75% of people are gamers, and that's not just students, that's the general population. And so we see that 75% of people are interested in gaming, and it can be used effectively to get students to be interested in school and actively participate. Further on that is that learners remember 90% if they are involved. And so the traditional way of teaching, where the teacher is kind of the sage on the stage and lectures for the entire period while students take notes and are supposed to actively listen, is much less effective than students being able to go into a program and become involved with gamification. Further, gamification prepares students for skills they need to be successful in the 21st century job market. We see, for example, coding having a severe shortage of workers in the near future, and a very high demand for students to learn coding and become successful. Further, as far as the games being violent or inappropriate, we see a growing library of appropriate games in the educational world to be used to teach specific content area with students. We also want to make sure that we are informing parents, admin, and fellow staff members of the benefits of gamification. It's a methodology that has been kind of thrown around in recent years, but there's still a lot of misunderstanding, and so to take the time to educate parents, admin, and fellow staff on the benefits could help to alleviate some of the concerns. And lastly, actively involving students in the process of gamification, as well as actively involving parents and admin, could help to alleviate those concerns and increase even more the motivation and engagement of students. Another ethical concern when using gamification or any technology where students need to connect to the internet is safe and responsible use of the internet. And so in order to address that concern, I created some images using Adobe Spark that I would just use as conversation starters and post in my classroom as unspoken daily reminders of the expectations of each and every one of my students to use the internet safely and responsibly. A lot of these games and programs require students to be on the internet, work with each other. And so I think first and foremost to teach students to think before they click, and it's very general. However, to go into each and every scenario with students about potential risks on the internet, would be time consuming and probably wouldn't be very beneficial. But just to teach them the skills to think before you click. What are you clicking on? Is it appropriate for school? What questions are going through your mind before you click on a link? Also, to respect others' work and idea. So this idea is twofold, and it could facilitate a conversation about copyright so that students are aware that that could have potential legal ramifications, as well as respecting the work and ideas of their classmates, so that what they're posting online in terms of their comments and replies to others' work is respectful, which goes along with I use kind words. Again, very general, but there's a lot of different scenarios on the internet, and just to have these general statements could help students to make the right decision. And lastly, I will talk to an adult if I need help. And so, in case they are a victim of bullying, or they know a student is not using the software properly, that they will talk to an adult if needed. And so that's very 4 simple rules, simple statements that I would post in my classroom as daily reminders of how to safely and responsibly use the internet while using gamification.